Okay, today's video we're going to talk about the trademark and ad text violation or ad disapproval reason inside Google Ads. I'm going to explain how to work around and get your ad approved while still being able to use trademark in the ad somewhere, not in any malicious way, but if you're selling something where in order to describe it to the user and based upon what users are typing in, such as if you're selling used Lazy Boy furniture, you got to use Lazy Boy in the ad for the ad to be even profitable, or to not exclude a bunch of keywords in your market, cutting the amount of potential you can from your ads. How to actually still use the trademark in the ad and still get that to make certain parts of what you're doing work, or just everything in your market to get it to work in general as well if you're in that exact boat. So with that said, I'm going to explain different certain situations where you actually would run into this bind the most, certain service businesses, so on and so forth. I'm going to explain how much this is actually going to affect your results, assuming and to put in a frame of reference why you want to use these methods to actually have your trademark in your ad still. And with that, I'll give you the exact method of what you can do to get the trademark in the ad, avoid any potential return you would have got with the trademark in the ad, and ultimately be in position to be probably the only one in your space with the trademark in your ad, which can then put you're in a power position. Your competition cannot do that. Your ad stands out the best. You get the highest click-through rates, and from the highest click-through rates, if you didn't know already, that gets you lower cost per click. Not just more clicks, but lower cost per click, which gives you a higher ROI and put you in a position to actually make those keywords work, whereas before it may not have, or not nearly as much as if you were able to actually get that trademark in your ad. So that said, I will get into the content here and then give you the working turnkey method to get your ad approved and in a position to start making you money, or a lot more money than it was before you had a problem with the trademark not being able to be put inside of your ad for trademark in text violation or ad disapproval reason, if you want to mention that. So sometimes you need to be able to use someone's trademark in your ad to explain what you're selling, and that could be such as selling. Sometimes you need to be able to use someone's trademark in your ad to explain what you're selling, such as selling auto parts or any parts in general. We were in the auto part space for a long time, selling aftermarket auto parts. You needed to be able to use so that you weren't missing out on a lot of long tail searches. The trademark in the ad for somebody searching for like a Honda Civic muffler, you need to be able to say Honda Civic muffler in the ad, otherwise people just pass it by. So in that market was extremely useful. You may be in an industry like we were helping a client in the printer toner space, where somebody's looking for printer toner. More than half of the time they're searching for like HP 120 printer toner, looking for this specific model of printer that they have, so that they don't have to search as much or as hard to find what they want. That could be you, that you are forced to kind of have this workaround, whether you like it or not, to be able to make a lot from Google Ads in your market. It could be for selling services, like you're offering maintenance. It could be, for instance, if you're in the industrial kind of space, you're offering Thomas industrial machine repair or something like that. People are looking for that kind of thing. Need to be able to find a company that specializes in that, and they're going to want to see a confirmation of you being able to actually offer that in your ad. If they're searching for that, so you're kind of in a bind in that situation. To make much of anything from PPC, if you're in something like that where you're offering specific repair or maintenance to a specific line of products, which then have had a trademark block on being able to use their trademark in an ad. Could be in the rental space, you offering, like let's say used lawnmowers, or excuse me, not used lawnmowers. You're offering iPad rental. And this is something else that we have done. These are all examples that I've been in and had dealt with. Somebody's going to look for tablet rental. That's there's a lot of that out there, but there's a lot of people looking for iPad rental as well. Half or more of the market's just looking for iPad rental versus tablet rental. Since you can't use iPad in the ad, you're missing out on a lot of different potential leads and sales by not being able to have iPad in the ad, given it hurts the click-through rate so much not having iPad in the ad that you're kind of forced to, in that kind of space, to actually have your keyword in the ad. Could be also consulting, going back to the industrial equipment, maintenance, people looking for industrial equipment, consulting. With that, it's the same thing as with the maintenance or repair. They want to see that they want a consultant for a certain piece of equipment that they have in their manufacturing facility. You're not going to be able to make that work, and just going after only the keywords related to industrial equipment consulting, manufacturing equipment consulting, there's not enough searches for that. So in that market, it was you're stuck with, you had to find a workaround in order to get it to work, so that your ads will get clicked through at a rate enough to pay for and justify the cost of the ads. Could be also you're in a market where you're selling used items, or it could be new. Specifically the lawnmowers, as I mentioned before, you're selling used lawnmowers locally. Somebody's generally looking, there's a lot of people searching for used push mowers, in my city or whatever, but also there's people looking for used Briggs & Stratton lawnmowers, which you're going to miss out on a ton of action if you're in that type of situation, not being able to say Briggs & Stratton in the ad, which is is trademarked. And so in that situation, you can potentially double or more the amount of sales you can get, which is about what it would be. Being able to go after all those specific make and model searches as well. So these are all markets where if you're in that market, you either are going to have way less potential, half or less potential, not being able to have these workarounds I'm going to give you to actually have your trademark in the ad, or just not be able to make things work at all because you're just in a like you're selling auto parts and everybody's looking for a certain auto part for a certain car that they have, and if with a lot of the makes of cars, those people having contact Google to block their trademark from being in the ad, you're just dead in the water completely. So it'll help both of you guys out. If you are, of course, making some money already by not having the trademark in the ad, it'll help you make even more, because having that trademark in the ad, if that's part of their search, is always going to get you a higher click-through rate. You're going to get more clicks, and they're going to be at a cheaper cost, since higher click-through rates mean lower cost per click, and more ROI from those set of keywords with the trademark in it somewhere. If you didn't know, how things get blocked is the company who owns the trademark contacts Google, says that they don't want their trademark in their ads. Respectively, what they're trying to do is get people that are trying to profit by using their name. And because Google only has so much resources, they block everything through an automated means, and they just look for anything with any ad with a trademark in it. Whereas in any of the examples I gave here, if you're selling, you're renting out iPads, it's not that you're not hurting Apple by doing that. If we were trying to rent a different type of tablet that wasn't the iPad, then using iPad in the ad would actually be hurting Apple. But in any of the examples, like I said, basically that's not what we're doing. We're not hurting the core company that has the trademark and submitted to Google a form to make sure their trademark couldn't be in anybody's ads. Therefore, when you have a workaround here, you're not actually doing anything so-called nefarious here, and so respectively, you're not with that, a workaround seems okay. So anyway, most of the trademarks out there are not blocked. The bigger the company, the more likely their trademarks are blocked. And so there is specifically a way that if you are, for instance, selling, like if you're selling new items and that trademark's blocked, you can contact the company which has the trademark and you can have them whitelist you. But for the most of you guys, 99% of you guys, that's not going to be an option because it's so hard to get through to the right person at the companies in which hold the trademark that it's just not going to happen. And if you are working with a distributor, even more so, because there's even more layers of people between the person you can contact and the right person at the company who can whitelist you. Because I even seen it, even when you sell new items as a distributor, you can't even get your own manufacturer to whitelist you, let alone any of these other reasons. So that's why these workarounds, I invented these workarounds because I knew going the whitelist way is not going to simply happen. We've tried it, wouldn't happen. If you get lucky, good for you. But which is the first option, but realistically, to not waste time while you're pursuing that, I would go with your workarounds here. And if you get it, you're good, but probably not going to get it. The difference in click-through rate, though, of your ads in many markets between having the trademark in the ad and not having the trademark at all in your ad literally will be 2 to 10x. So, if you have a click-through rate of 3% with the trademark, you're going to basically probably get something like a 0.8% click-through rate on your ad. If you don't have any instance or resemblance or any part of that trademark in your ad anyway, because people will simply just pass your ad up. They won't know what you're offering is what they were actually searching for. Every time I make an ad, I always have the keyword in the first headline because it usually doubles the click-through rate of an ad automatically anyway. And in a lot of these different markets where the trademark is a part of the keyword, and like the examples I gave, it's going to be even more so of an increase in click-through rate you're going to get by actually having the keyword in the headline, because it helps them with find what they're looking for. They're looking for long tail searches, and if you don't say that you have what they're looking for right in the ad, they'll just click on something else. So, and realistically, if your click-through rate is 5 times higher than by having the trademark in the ad versus not, that in a lot of times will make sure your cost per click is triple what it would be if you could simply have the trademark in the ad. And with that kind of hindrance or handicap, it's hard to make money in your market for that reason alone. Anything that would hinder, give you right away 1/3 of the conversions that your competition would have, it's hard to even, compensate for that. Even though if your trademark is blocked from having you use it in any of your ads, so will all your competition for the most part. Some people are obviously able to use it because they got whitelisted or white labeled, but generally speaking, it's definitely enough to make sure your ads won't be profitable anymore because just your click-through rate is just so darn low. And the workaround can really be a savior, can get your stuff to work, and you can just get more keywords to work that wouldn't work before, as I mentioned before, if you had a hack or ability to get the trademark in the headline of the ad and get it actually in there. So anyway, with that said, I'm going to give you the workaround here that works 95% of the time for most people. And with that said, this is all derived of something that I've personally seen done with clients' accounts here at our PPC firm. And with the reason why they have 4 things, the reason why I have 4 things here, because if one thing doesn't work, you go on to the other. Technically, if you watched my other videos before, I mention all the time, just because your competitor, you see them doing something, doesn't mean you're going to get it approved, because the review process is very arbitrary. You could do something today that doesn't get approved tomorrow. Your trademark ads could be approved for a month, and then they could get blocked for the trademark a month later. I've seen this very, very commonly. So you will have to just basically what point I'm trying to get to here is trial and error it out for yourself to see what's going to actually work for your company. And with that, I rank these in the order of the importance, or in other words, how profitable they are. So if the one doesn't work, you go into the one directly underneath it, and you'll get then a little less profit, but a lot more profit than if you never used the trademark in the ad at all. So in order of least effect on the CTR/performance/profit on your ad, towards the top is going to get you the most profit, towards the bottom is going to get you the least profit. Okay? So anyway, what is this? Number one, if using spaces. So in my example I gave you here, Apple, which is one term that's blocked. If you put a space in between one of the letters, usually the algorithm will not flag it for the trademark in-ad text ad violation. And so that what you do is you actually take Apple and you write it and you put it on a piece of paper or on a text file and you write down all the different versions of Apple. You could do A space PPLE, AP space PLE, APP space LE, and then just try adding the space in between each letter and find out which one looks the most readable. You're going for recognizability here, so that basically they know they're at the right place when they see your ad and therefore what you're offering before they have to and want to click. And you'll use whatever version looks the best to you. Get into the shoes of your user and try to figure out what would be the least confusing for you to click on. If that does not get approved for you, or it just doesn't look right or whatever, you always got the second option, which is going to make you a little less profit, but still really, really good profit, to the point where if you were to get a 3% click-through rate on your ad with the trademark and a 0.8% click-through rate without it, having the first one here, you can get like 2.5% click-through rate. And with your competition not actually being able to use it, you can be out in a league of your own. You soaking up all those valuable clicks, and your competition won't know how, or they don't want to do it, or it's too sketched out. They don't want to potentially get in trouble, even though, like I said, and basically Google has the system the way that it is because it can't check everybody's stuff manually. So instead of, oh well, actually we're not selling, we're not using this company's likeness of their name to try to sell our brand of product. We're just selling a used product. So this is actually perfectly, it's not a trademark violation. They just, to make it simple, nobody can use it, and that's it. But the second example, if the spaces don't work for you, you can use, instead of an O, use a 0. So example, instead of using having for Ford, if you want it, Ford is blocked, you can use F0RD versus FORD. And so same thing with the spaces on the Apple that I gave you as an example. If a word has more than one O in it, try to see what looks better, having the 0 as the first O or the second O or the third O, and what's the most readable, and then go with that. If you don't know which one will technically work better, you're kind of on the fence, go ahead and test them both. Split test it. Test, whether the first O, the second O, or the third O actually gets the most recognizability on the ad and therefore click-through, and then just go with that long term. Your third option, which it makes almost as much money but a little less than the second option with the O, 0, and maybe your trademark term does not have an O in it, you can use an underscore. So an example would be, if the trademark term is Tobisha, you can use TOBISH underscore A. Notice I did not remove any letters, I just added an underscore. So like the space here, I did not remove a letter physically. I did not remove a letter here, I just added an underscore in between one of the letters, and you'll do the same thing. You'll write out all versions of Tobisha with an underscore in between each word, and you'll find out which one works the best. Technically, what you could do is, if it doesn't get approved or whatever, instead of having an underscore in between the letters, you could just take and have the underscore as a replacement for the letter straight up. And those usually will get approved if you take out one of the letters like every time. The only problem is that really hurts click-through rates when you take out a letter. So therefore, and I know this through testing, why you want to have it in between the letters versus replacing a letter, 100%. And why underscores? Because it doesn't get in the way of reading the word. The same thing with the spaces. Pretty much everybody who sees APPLE knows it's Apple. Okay, they may say, I wonder why they have a space, but it's other than that quick thought, it is an afterthought that goes right through the ad, assuming the rest of your ad is cherry. Apple, iPad rentals, offering iPad rentals for $4.99 a day. The rest of the ad, if you do the rest of the ad copywriting like really, really, really good, it makes up for that space almost completely, to the point where you might get like I said, a 10 or 20% reduction from actually having Apple, but literally that's it, which is obviously not a lot. That's not enough to keep you from making a good deal of money on your ads, or just making money in general with your ads, whereas not having the trademark in there could completely make it unprofitable to begin with on some or all of your basic keywords in that market, depending on how many of those keywords in your market that are actually have potential to be profitable have the trademark in it. The fourth option is to use asterisks. So this is another one where, in terms of readability, asterisks don't affect the readability of the ad. So if the trademark term is Honda, you could have capital H asterisk ONDA. Again, notice I'm not replacing a letter. I'm just simply adding an asterisk in between the letters. And you could do it again where, of course, try the asterisk between the O and the N and the D and the A. Write it all down. Look what looks better. I would write down Honda in a list like that, trying the asterisk in between each letter on a text file all by itself. But I would also take the ad, go into the Google Ads editor, physically add the asterisk not in replacement, but in between the letters, take a screenshot of the ad, and then look at all the screenshots of the ad. In other words, how that ad's actually going to show on Google to your users, and make your final decision from there, because sometimes looking at what you did in context of the rest of the ad will have you making a different decision on what seems the most reasonable. Looking at the ads physically side by side versus just the word Honda or just the trademark word by itself side by side with all the different versions. Okay, now if that doesn't work, then I will get into, generally speaking, and this is before I would replace a certain letter with an asterisk here, and before actually, instead of having a letter, just have a space here. I'm going to use, and you are to the point where you do have to remove a letter to get your stuff approved, because that's just how things are in your situation. Instead of Honda, I'm going to use an asterisk in replacement of an actual letter this time. So like HO asterisk DA. And then if you're going to be in that position to make up for the fact that there's no letter there, I found if you can compensate more so by having other, I don't want to call it filler, but supportive words along with it. So normally if you weren't going to say Honda Civic on the ad, but if you could have Civic next to Honda, everybody will then know what you mean there, even though the letter's missing, because you have the word Civic next to Honda. Respectively, you would probably, if you were selling, since you're going to have an ad for every keyword, if you follow at least the way that I do things, which normally double your click-through rate anyway, you're always going to have the word Civic in with Honda anyway, if the keyword had Honda and Civic in it. So the fact that you are missing one letter on Honda but Civic's next to it with no edits, generally speaking, everybody will be able to read this cleanly without having, being thrown off. So missing a letter, if you have to do it, really isn't that bad. You still may only lose, 25% or a little bit more of your click-through rate by having that asterisk there versus having no asterisk and having the in there in replacement of that asterisk if you have to go there and do it. So generally speaking, this one at the bottom here, where you replace one of the letters with an asterisk, will generally always work. With that said, and that would be your final option. So technically there's 4 options. If you want to count this one here, instead of adding an asterisk between the letters, you replace a letter with an asterisk. That technically would be your 5th option. I have kind of messed with doing combinations of things. So instead of doing this one, I would try like an underscore and a space. And generally speaking, I can't get the asterisk to replace a letter to work better than having an underscore and a space as a way to get our ads approved in general or in those unique situations. So this is actually battle tested here. What works best? What is your first best option, your second best option, third best option, fourth and fifth best options for you to get your ads up and probably get your campaign back profitable, or just get more keywords that would have never been profitable without trademark in the ad, the trademark in the ad, to give you the option to make those keywords have potential for your company and get your stuff going again for those keywords. So anyway, that's the short and dirty version of what to do when you have the trademark in ad text ad disapproval, or for the ad disapproval reason of trademark in ad text violation, or whatever version, how you want to describe this exact problem. And if you did like this video, I'd appreciate it if you like the video, so I can get, we can help other people with this respectively. And if you like to learn more, or learning more about PPC and want to see working stuff like this to help you improve your PPC campaigns, you should seriously consider subscribing to this channel. I would really appreciate it as well. You'll learn a bunch about PPC and making money with PPC, because these are all things that I use at our PPC agency here, stuff that I learn and works at our agency for some other clients, gets put into our videos. I come out with a couple videos a week. It has money, with all based upon around making more money with PPC, money making strategy, so on and so forth. Stuff that you can't find elsewhere on YouTube because they don't have active accounts like we do to review and know actually what's working out there today in today's environment for you to be able to replicate there on your own. If you have any questions about the trademark in ad text ad disapproval reason or violation, leave me a comment down below. I get back to every single person that leaves me a comment on this channel, usually within a day or two time. So with that, I also should probably bring up that I also have a blog at guaranteedppc.com/blog with step-by-step instructions on how to build ads and PPC campaigns, similar to like what I was talking about here, in a more step-by-step fashion, of which this blog I personally have written myself. And so you may also find some use and added value there as well versus this channel, in case you want more of a step-by-step guide on how to do certain things like I do it here, which are based upon working methods that work and have been working on our accounts for some time. I'll wrap it up with that though. Hope you enjoyed, and I hope to see you in my next video that comes out with another great PPC money-making opportunity for you on it. See you there.